So now let's see the grouping or distribution. So if suppose m+n objects are there and you have to suppose distribute it into two groups. So for example, one is group is m group is having m objects and other group is having n objects. So how many such ways are possible? So like sometimes we often confuse the grouping with permutation. So permutation is actually the arranging all the objects in a specific way, but grouping is like arranging objects in a group where the internal arrangement of the group does not matter. So while grouping we don't matter, like we don't inquire the internal arrangement of the group. So but in case of like permutation, the whole like set of distinct objects are like arranged in a specific manner, but in a group we don't give more emphasis to internal arrangement, so we do it at a group level, the permutations. So now let's see. So what we were saying, that if suppose m+n objects are there and if they are have to be divided into two groups with m and n, so how you will do this? So first m+n, you will suppose, if you suppose take m, you selected m objects, followed by you are left with only n objects and you can select n objects. So this is only the possible. So like now let's simplify this. So you can simplify this as factorial m+n factorial by m factorial into by m factorial, and if you minus m then you will get n factorial, and in this is actually 1. So whenever you have to like m+n objects, if you have to group into two groups such that one is m and other is n objects, so you are having m+n factorial by m factorial into n factorial ways. So now let's see one more example. Like suppose if you have to m, n and p, this much objects are there and you have to group it into three groups. One is having m objects, one is having n objects, and other is having p objects. So like similarly we will do first m+n+p. So first we will suppose, for example, select m objects followed by, so m objects are selected, so n+p will object is only left. So look, suppose you select n objects further, and at last you are left with only p objects. So this is 1. So here you can see that if you further simplify this, m+n+p factorial, m factorial is at here, if m is minus by this, so this is n+p factorial multiplied by n+p factorial by n factorial into again p factorial. So if you see that here this gets cancelled by this, so you got m+m+p factorial by m factorial, n factorial and p factorial. So when you have to group this much object into three groups, one is having m objects, one is having n object, and one is having p object, so you are having this much ways to do so. So now let's see one more example, one more special case. Suppose m+n+n, so the third group is also having like, the third group is like this group and this group are same. So what will here happen? So here like our m+n+n factorial will remain as it is, then m factorial into n factorial into n factorial. But what we will do is we will multiply an extra 2 factorial by here, divide by this. Why? Because these two groups are same, so it will cause further like similar arrangements. So if you further write this, so it will become m+2n factorial m factorial n factorial whole square into 2 factorial, because these two groups are same. So now let's see some example. So for example, there are 10 objects, and suppose if you have to arrange it in 3, one group of 3, one group of 2 and one group of 5. So we are having this much 3 groups over here. So how many ways are possible? So 10 factorial by 3 factorial, 2 factorial and 5 factorial. This much ways of grouping this into three groups. So if you see one more example, like one more question. Suppose 10 is now done in 3, 3 and 4. So now the group 1 is having 3 objects, group 2 is having 3 objects and group 3 is having 4 objects. So what will happen? Our this 10 factorial will remain same. In denominator we will have 4 factorial, then 3 factorial will comes 2 times, then a 2 factorial will be divided. Why? Because 2 groups are same. So that is our final answer. So I hope you have understood the concept of grouping and like distribution. Thank you.